Welcome to Ask the Teacher, another episode where we answer your questions of concern. And we come to you from the Waffle Suites of Kanu Street, Nakuru. And today we have the question of the day. This one comes from the group that says they are single and ready to mingle. So here's the question. I am 27 and ready for marriage. What are some of the things I need to check out in a future spouse? I am 27 and ready for marriage. What are some of the things I need to check out on my future spouse? Nice question. And marriage is God's idea. And that's something that we should again and again drum into the heads of this generation. In a generation where we are hearing about breakups, single, family, blah, 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 a lot of divorces happening, we still have to insist that marriage was God's idea. It was God who said it is not good for these men to be alone. It was God's idea. And I know the family unit has been hit right, left, and center. And one of the reasons the family unit is hit right, left, and center is because just like the body has cells. The cells form the organs. The organs form the systems. The systems make the body. Just like that, the family forms communities. Communities form nations. Nations form the planet. So if you want to destroy the body, you destroy the cells. If you want to destroy the planet, you destroy the families. And when that happens, you destroy everything. Maybe one of these days we will discuss the structure of the family. But now, this is somebody single and ready to mingle. Where? So they're asking, what are some of the things? I will share with us something I've called over time the simple marking scheme for a potential spouse. A simple marking scheme for a potential spouse. If you have a pen and a paper, you can write this word down. Careful. Careful. And then we use careful as an acronym. These are the things you need to check out on. Number one, C for character. You need to find out what kind of a character is this man. What are his values? What are the things he does? How does he carry himself? What is his character? Now, one of the things we must discover, you cannot learn character online. So if you have met somebody on social media, you can't learn their character. Character is learned by relation. That is the importance of dating. That is the importance of courtship. You get to learn someone's character. And then ask yourself, this kind of behaviors that they have, this kind of habits, is this something I can live with? Because simple acts put together make habits, or habits put together makes immense character. So number one, character. Figure out what kind of a person they are. A is one of the most underrated ones. A is for age. It is important as much as possible to marry within your age bracket. And I know many people have said when it comes to love, age is just a number. Let me demystify that. Age can only be a number if it is the same number. If they are different number, it ceases just to be a number because there are implications of age. If you marry outside your age bracket, there are a lot of adjustments that you might need to do, and sometimes those adjustments are not doable. Do I have a marking scheme for age? Maybe not. But I would say this. In your 20s, somewhere between 2 and 5 years difference might be okay. In your 30s, you're mature enough, you can expand it a bit to around 7. By the time you get to 40, you can expand it to 10, going like that, because that time you're already big. But let me address myself to this group in your 20s. Because you see, in your 20s, if you marry someone who is in their 40s, that person is almost the age of your dad. There might be a lot of things that will not work. So if you are going to marry completely outside your age bracket, you need to make a lot of adjustments and you need a lot of premarital counseling before you go into this. That's for the younger one. For the older one, you will need to make a lot of adjustment, and you'll need a lot of patience and humility to deal with the younger spouse. R, for relationships. How does he handle other relationships? How does he treat the mother? How does he treat his friends? How does he treat her girlfriends? How does he treat the other people around them? Because you must know, you are not an exception. You are another human being coming in their life. They are going to treat you exactly the way they treat others. If he's a guy and he mishandles his sisters, talks ill about the mother, you will not be no exception. If it's a guy who hits women, you will be no exception. If she's a girl who hangs out in the streets and only hangs out with other girls and goes out the whole night, it will not be an exception. Figure out, how does she relate with other people? And more importantly, how does she relate with God? And how does she relate with herself? Relationships, observe. And it must be said here that these things take time to observe. Number 4, E, for education. Another underrated area. It helps to have someone who you can relate intellectually at the same frequency. It is important to have someone who you can relate to intellectually at the same frequency. A big gap in your educational exposure will mean a big gap, most probably, in your view, in your worldview, in the way you see things, which in itself becomes a source of discontent and a lot of fights. So if you can have somebody who you at least are around the same educational level, or maybe they are 1 or 2 higher, or if they are lower than you, they are willing to upgrade. And that is one of the problems you have had, that guys who have gone to school get married in the village, leave one wife in the village, then go to town and marry a town wife who is a bit more sophisticated, maybe a bit more educated. Education dictates a lot how we see things. And one time I was asked, what is the exception? I said the only exception is for geniuses. If someone is a genius and you're a PhD holder, you might be able to relate, but not necessarily. So it's important. And these are things you can argue with, but these are some of the things that come to our table as counselors. Because more probably than not, most often than not, the person with a lower education feels that they are being mishandled in a relationship. So education is very important. And you can also agree if the person with the lower education is going to upgrade. Then from there we go to F, which is for faith. That now, besides the other relationships we talked about now, what is their relationship with God? Where do they come from? Which faith do they subscribe to? And I know that we have a generation that thinks they don't care, but faith, if one is a Muslim, the other one is a Christian, or maybe a Hindu, or an atheist, get hooked up to someone you are of the same faith. And especially for the Christians, actually Paul is very clear on that. He says, do not be unequally yoked with non-believers. Why is it important? Because faith forms the biggest chunk of basis of our values. Most of the things we do or we do not do are dictated by what we believe in. I had a case one time of a man and a woman. They were both Christians, but one was a Protestant who worships on Sunday. The other one was a Protestant who worships on Saturday. And there was a big case. Where are they going to fellowship? So if you are coming from different faiths, those are things that have to be agreed. Even of those of the Christian conviction, even if the two of you are Protestants, if you come from 2 different denominations, you need to agree beforehand, where are you going to be fellowshipping? Then you go to U. U is for uniqueness. What is that one thing about that person that even if everything else was taken away, you would still stick with them? That is a question you have had many people ask. Why do you love them? What is that spark that draws you to them? That even if everything was, if the money went and the face went, because money might go, the body shape might change, What is that one thing that will keep you connected to them? Get that thing, get that person who you are so drawn to that even if they had nothing else but them, you would still be drawn to them. And that is something you figure as you walk with someone. I've had people say, I would stay with him any day because he makes me comfortable. I can stay with him any day because she's brought out our children well. She handles kids well. There is always something unique about someone. But before you get married, you only know that by relating. I'll be coming to that in a moment. And then finally, L. L is for loyalty. I know most of you expected me to say L is for love. We would not be speaking about all these other things. The reason you are checking all these other things is because you have already fallen in love. Now you are checking these other things so that you can mature in love. So the other one is loyalty. Are they loyal to you? Are you their only one? Or are you one of theirs? So there was this girl who asked someone, oh, you told me I'm 1 in a million. And the guy asked him, which part of English did you not understand? I said you are 1 in a million. So you are one and there are a million of you. So loyalty, are they loyal to you? Are they people you can count on? In good times and bad times, for richer, for poor, for healthier, for when people are sick, are they people who are loyal to you as a spouse? Now, all the things I've said have one thing in common. They are not things you can present a questionnaire and have somebody tick the boxes. These are things you have to walk with someone and find out what their way forward is or how they are living. You cannot tell character from ticking a box. You cannot tell even faith from ticking a box. These are things you have to learn. And this is why I must encourage, don't be in a hurry. Don't just pick people on social media. Let this be a walk where you walk with someone and figure out, so what is the marking scheme? Careful. Character, age, relationships, education, faith, uniqueness, and loyalty. That's what the teacher has to say.